allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. The exits are in the front of the building and to the rear of the building. Okay, first we have our approval of department reports. Can I get a motion to,
The roll call first.
roll call? Behringer is present.
Carl, present.
Connor present.
Okay, department reports.
Carl, make a motion that we approve them.
O'Connor will second.
Okay, Behringer, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
Okay, approval of the meeting minutes through December 6th, 2022.
Carl will make that motion and we accept those minutes.
O'Connor will second.
Call to question, Behringer, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
So carry. Okay, let's see, budget transfers and modifications as submitted per the treasurer. Can I get a motion?
Yeah, just hold on one second, let me just get to that. Carl will make that motion that we accept the modifications from Treasurer Murray.
O'Connor will second.
Okay, call to question, Behringer, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
So carry.
Just a note, again, we've been working on the coding for the water department, and there was some stuff, and I had spoken to Catherine regarding breaking the electricity out between source of power, purification, a source of supply rather, so those are included in this, so that, I needed clarification on that from her, but
Okay.
that's one of the reasons why you see the water stuff on there.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, next page.
I do the resolutions on, right after the budget modifications, if you want to do the due process hearings.
Okay. Okay, so I gotta see what I'm reading on this now.
Now, you've already read one of the resolutions into the record.
Yep.
I'm not sure which property that was for.
To Vista Lane. Yep.
So all you need to do at this point is vote on to Vista. You might read the last part of the resolution again,
Okay,
authorizing the village to remedy.
okay. So on a motion by,
Carl will make the motion that the village take action against the property known as 2 Vista Lane.
O'Connor will second.
okay, call to question, Behringer, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
And then Kim O'Hara, the clerk, will send the certified copy of the resolution to the property owner.
Okay.
And we have the one for 440.
Okay, and now, can I get a motion for 440 Route 17M?
Yep, Carl will make the motion that we authorize the village to go in and take action regarding the violations
O'Connor will second.
at 440 Route 17M, 215-1-10.
Okay, call to question, Behringer, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
So carry. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, be it resolved, the Board of Trustees appoints heavy equipment operator Aldo Chiapetta, 115 Beverly Road, Chester, New York, 10918, to the full-time position of working leader. He has been pre-approved to move into this position by the Orange County Department of Human Resources. The effective date is December 20th, 2022. Can I get a motion?
Carl will make that motion.
O'Connor will second.
And just some discussion.
Mm-hmm.
We, as of now, I think we'll have 2 of those positions, correct, Kim? Okay. All right.
Okay, and we got a second, right?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Okay, call to question, Behringer, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
Be it further resolved, the Board of Trustees agrees to a side letter of agreement with the IBEW for Aldo Chiappetta, additional pay of $5 per hour, an increase of $3 above what is set forth in Article XXV III, Section 6, above the base pay scale for serving as working leader for the department. Upon separation, or he is no longer serving as the working leader, the additional pay for working leader shall revert back to the $2 per hour set forth in Article XXV III, Section 6. Can I get a motion?
Carl will make that motion.
O'Connor will second.
Call to question, Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
So carry. Okay, next one, old business. Okay, so this is for you to read the adoption of the resolution.
Yes, let me get
Okay.
to it. Okay. Whereas on June 21, 2022, the Village Board of the Village of Monroe adopted a 6-month temporary moratorium on certain land use development approvals, which moratorium was intended to allow the village to maintain the land use status quo while it amended its comprehensive plan and land use regulations to provide for controlled growth that will not unduly impact the public welfare, community services, schools, and infrastructure, to preserve open space, protect historic buildings and scenic features important to the village's character, and to plan for a proper mix of residential and commercial development. And whereas the moratorium local law permitted the moratorium to be extended by 2 additional periods of up to 3 months each by resolution of the village board upon a finding of need for such extension, and whereas the said moratorium will expire on December 21st, 2022, unless extended by resolution of the village board. And whereas the village board has diligently pursued the process necessary to amend its comprehensive plan, including multiple open meetings with the village board, and has gathered input from its consultants, the board members, and members of the public regarding said comprehensive plan. And whereas the village board finds and determines that additional time is needed to complete the input process and amend the comprehensive plan. Now, therefore, be it resolved, put that in the form of a motion, to extend the moratorium for an additional 3 months from the date of this resolution until March 21, 2022.
Okay, can I get a motion that we extend the moratorium by an additional 3 months from this date to March 21st?
Carl will make that motion.
2022?
O'Connor will second.
Call to question, Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
So carry. Okay, intermunicipal agreement, Village of Monroe and MWCSD Resource Officer. Be it resolved, the Board of Trustees authorize Mayor Dwyer to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the Monroe-Woodbury Central School District to provide a school resource officer program in the schools that are within the village's geographical boundaries, which include North Main Elementary, Pine Tree Elementary, and Sapphire Elementary. The term of the agreement is from January 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2023, and is renewed each year upon mutual consent. Can I get a motion?
Carl will make the motion.
O'Connor will second.
Discussion?
Any discussion?
Yes. In looking at this, to keep everything flowing the same way, everything references Village of Monroe through the village chief of police, but yet on Article 2A, number of school resource officers, it says the chief of police shall assign Monroe police officers. That should read Village of Monroe police officers. Everywhere else in this whole thing, it references village officers, village chief of police, village mayor.
Okay, so we can get that added?
So that should be added, Village of Monroe, not just Monroe police officers. That should keep everything consistent.
Okay.
That's the only thing I see that I picked up on it.
Okay. And we got a second, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, call to question, Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
So carry. It's further resolved that Mayor Dwyer is authorized to sign the agreement. Can I get a motion for that?
Carl will make that motion, and that's to include the
the wording of
The
Village of
wording that
Monroe.
I requested.
And O'Connor will second.
Okay. Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
So carry. Okay, next one. Okay, new business, negative declaration of non-significance, Village of Monroe, Gilbert Street, culvert pipe replacement. Okay. Okay, so I know that Mayor Dwyer applied for a Bridge New York grant application. So how much of this am I reading here? This notice is issued pursuant to Part 617 of the implementing regulations pertaining to Article 8, State Environmental Quality Review Act of the Environmental Conservation Law. The Village of Monroe Board of Trustees, as lead agency, has determined that the proposed action described in the project narrative environmental assessment form, consistent with the procedures and criteria set forth in 6 NYCRR 617.7, analyze the relevant areas of environmental concern using the seeker standards, and determine that the proposed action will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment, and a draft environment impact statement will not be prepared. Seeker status unlisted. How much of this am I reading? The whole?
Yeah, I would read the rest
Okay.
of it.
Condition, negative declaration, no. Description of action. The village proposes to replace 250 feet of 48-inch corrugated
Metal drainage pipe.
metal drainage pipe with 48-inch plastic pipe in the same location within Gilbert Street. This project is proposed to be funded through a Bridge New York grant through the New York State Department of Transportation. The location's Gilbert Street. The reasons supporting this determination: the proposed action is not anticipated to result in any adverse environmental impacts based on the following. 1, the culvert is proposed to replace an existing pipe with a new pipe of the same size. The installation will be completed consistent with the village DPW specifications. Number 2, the pipe will collect stormwater and convey it through the village's existing stormwater management infrastructure. Number 3, no grading will occur and no additional structures or impervious surfaces are proposed. And number 4, no surface water or wetlands are located on or immediately adjacent to the project site. As such, no impacts to these resources are anticipated. 5, no other potentially significant adverse environmental impacts are identified. I'd like to put this in a form, or can I get a motion?
Carl will make that motion.
O'Connor will second.
Discussion?
Yep.
Do we know exactly where this 250 feet of pipe is going?
I would really have to ask.
Obviously, it's in
Mayor.
the same place it is now, but I'm not sure exactly where it is on Gilbert Street.
Well, the reason why I say that, because we just redid Gilbert Street, put curbing and sidewalks in. So I'm just curious to see where, unless it's on the upper end.
My understanding is there's a grant application
Yes,
being
that's-
submitted.
yep.
Has the board seen that? This is part of that grant application. You have to neg deck it before
Right.
Bridge New York will accept it.
Well, let's move it along, because we can certainly, we'll find out. Unless it's on the upper end, because I know it's all new drainage going down Gilbert Street now.
Right.
That comes out of the Smith Farms, goes down, goes across 17M by the ice cream stand, and then follows parallel with the Heritage Trail and goes under the Heritage Trail into Orange and Rockland Lake. So most likely it's on the top end.
Okay, so, call to question, Berenger, aye?
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
So carry. Okay,
There is a letter from John O'Rourke, the village engineer. Site inspection, Gilbert Street, rear entrance to the post office and shopping center. This location down to the intersection of Gilbert Street and New York State Route 17M. So you might reach out to your village engineer and just get copies of the grant application.
Okay.
We'll do that tomorrow
Confirm
morning.
the location.
All right, so we'll do that tomorrow?
Yep, I'll get a hold of them.
Okay.
Oh, okay, all right, good.
Okay, next item is request of electrical inspector appointment, SAS Electrical Inspection. The building department received a request from SAS Electrical Inspection LLC to be appointed as an approved electrical inspection agency for the Village of Monroe. Pursuant to Village Code Chapter 94, the village board appoints electrical inspectors to perform third-party electrical inspections of all electrical installations within the Village of Monroe. SAS Electrical Inspection LLC has provided copies of their documentation for the board to review. The building department makes no recommendations one way or another as long as the insurance is in order. Be it resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the request of SAS Electrical Inspection LLC and appoints them to the approved list of third-party electrical inspectors for electrical inspections within the Village of Monroe. Can I get a motion?
Carl will make that motion.
O'Connor will second.
Call to question, Berenger, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
So carry. Okay, refund request, Planning Board fees, BM Associates. The Planning Board received a request via email from BM Associates on behalf of the owner Mordecai J. Seal of 386 Route 17M for a refund for their escrow monies submitted to the Planning Board on May 26, 2022. The owner no longer plans to build at 386 Route 17M. The applicant submitted 4 checks totaling $7,730. They attended one Planning Board meeting on June 13, 2022. The professional consulting fees for the Planning Board are $833.50. The refund would be as followed: $7,730 escrow, $833.50 Planning Board consulting fees, subtracting that, and the total refund, $6,896.50. Be it resolved, the Board of Trustees accepts the request and refunds BM Associates. So we want to.
Carl will make that motion.
Okay,
O'Connor will
sorry.
second.
Okay, so on behalf of Mordecai, for $6,896.50. So call to question, Berenger, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
So carry. Okay, agreement of OC Town and Villages Drug and Alcohol Testing 2023, Partners in Safety. Be it resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the drug and alcohol renewal agreement for 2023. Town and Villages of Orange County, whereby Partners in Safety, under the terms and conditions of the agreement, shall provide to the Village of Monroe with drug testing that meets the compliance of the U.S. Department of Transportation, requiring alcohol and drug testing of safety-sensitive employees. Complete DOT random testing program is $49 per test. Pre-employment, post-accident, reasonable cause, or follow-up testing performed during business hours at the rates quoted in the agreement. It's further resolved, the Board of Trustees authorize Mayor Dwyer to sign the agreement with Partners in Safety. Can I get a motion?
Carl will make that motion.
O'Connor will second.
Call to question.
Hold on one second. Looks
Discuss.
like we have 13 employees that will be eligible for that. So,
Okay, 13?
Yep.
Okay. Berenger, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
So carry. Okay, land acquisition, Trustee Carl?
Yes. Resolve, the Village Board of Trustees finds that the acquisition of the property located on West Monbassia Road, Town of Monroe, number 29-1-22, which is located along the shore of Monbassia Lake, the village's water source, for the purpose of further protecting the village's water source. It is in the best interest of the Village of Monroe and hereby authorize Mayor Dwyer to execute a contract of the sale in the amount of $10,000, which represents the fair market value of said landlocked property pursuant to an appraisal received on September 22nd, 2022, and budgeted from line F1940, purchase of property. And I would gladly put that into a form of a motion.
O'Connor will second.
Call to question. Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
So carry.
Again, it's just one more piece of property that we own to help protect our water supply.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, mayor and trustees report. Anyone have anything they'd like to report?
Just I thought our winter fun fest here was well attended, and you did a nice job on that, Debbie, so.
Thank you.
And we did have a decent crowd down here. The weather cooperated.
The weather was great, and I think it also reminded a lot of people to shop local. I think a lot of people were going around Lake Street and going to the shops at Lake Street, and it was just really nice to see everyone out. Luckily, the weather cooperated with us. Marty, do you have anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Just happy Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year to everybody.
Yes. Anything from the attorney?
No.
Okay. Public comment? I just ask if you come up to please just state your name.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Dawn Tauber. I just have a question. You made reference about acquiring properties along the lake to protect Lake Monbassia.
Yes.
Can you explain what that means? What
There
is
was
the
a-
purpose of the property?
The property is landlocked, and the owner had reached out to the mayor that the property was for sale, and the village moved to purchase that piece of property. It goes out into the water and landlocks up against the town of Monroe's property on the west side.
Okay, thank you. I'm familiar with the property. I guess I was curious as to, you said it in another attempt to protect the lake. What's going to be done?
We have a watershed. Watershed surrounds Monbassia Reservoir.
So you're planning on putting something on that 29-1-22?
No. It's gonna be kept forever green. Won't be touched.
And what about 34 Lakeview? That was the last recent acquisition of land for about $837,000.
That's
What-
correct. The 16 acres, we purchased that also to protect the reservoir so houses didn't get built on it. Because the way that the town code is, there could have been 5 homes constructed on that property.
But those homes don't draw their water from Monbassia Lake?
No, that's not that. It's the runoff. Folks fertilizing lawns, doing that kind of stuff. That stuff winds up in the reservoir. By us purchasing the property and keeping it forever green, that's our intention, not to build on it. There are some structures on that 34 Lakeview. There is a gentleman that's living there that we purchased the property from, and I believe he's got a 5-year, I believe it's
Yeah,
five.
there was an agreement to allow
Agreement
him to
made at
stay
5
there
years
for
that he has to vacate that, and then he's got a modular in there. There's just that and a barn in there, that's it. But everything else is all just land, and he's got a couple of winding roads through there.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Good evening. Where's the mayor?
Got the flu.
He's sick.
Oh, boy. Sorry to hear that. Just seems like can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, I live on Winchester Drive. The road where most of the non-public school buses are still let to violate New York State vehicle laws such as running stop signs, speeding, backing up, turning around, and dropping off children in the middle of the street. For the third meeting in a row, we are here to once again remind this board that these vehicular infractions are not only unacceptable and extremely dangerous for our neighborhood, but the bus drivers are operating in violation of the law. I haven't seen one summons issued, and what's going on with that? Last Sunday, during a snowy evening, I witnessed a police officer who ticketed an illegally parked car, then several minutes later removed the ticket. Unbelievable. I think the law that calls for 2 inches if 2 inches or more of snow falls, that needs to be looked at, because it was 2 inches that fell, and by the morning it was 3 inches of snow. It seemed like the road had less on it, so that they pulled the ticket. You know what I mean? It didn't look like 2 inches on the road, but 2 inches did fall in our yards, okay? So, and like I said, by morning it was 3 inches.
This was during the evening, ma'am?
Yeah, Sunday evening when it was snowing, because it was still snowing when they arrived at the illegally parked car, okay?
Did it not accumulate on the road, though, for 3 inches, even though the
For
lawn
2
is-
inches,
2
it
inches?
didn't look like it, but it doesn't say that in your code, so that needs to be looked at and the law strengthened or clarified, because it's confusing. You could take it either way. You could take it, you know, is it being on the road or not being on the road? Okay. In any case, I researched New York State village law and found what a mayor and board of trustees' legal responsibilities are. Okay, let's start with the mayor, and I wish he was here. Section 4-400, quote, "To provide for the enforcement of all laws, local laws, rules, and regulations, and to cause all violations thereof to be prosecuted." Section 4-400E, again, a mayoral responsibility, "To exercise supervision over the conduct of the police and other subordinate officers of the village." Section 4-400F, "To intervene in any and all actions at the direction of the Board of Trustees were deemed necessary to protect the rights of the village and its inhabitants." So Section 4-412 tells about the Board of Trustees. Quote, "The Board of Trustees of a village shall have the management of village property. It may take all measures and do all actions by local laws not inconsistent with the provisions of the Constitution and not inconsistent with the general law, except as authorized by municipal home rule, which shall be deemed expedient or desirable for the good government of the village, its management and business. The protection of its property, the safety, health, comfort, and general welfare of its inhabitants, the protection of their property, and the preservation of peace and good order." I'm not here to lecture, okay, but to remind you of your legal duties. I'm very concerned that after 3 meetings, the residents of Whitman Estates are still considered an annoyance rather than an asset. When residents keep their eyes and ears open and stand united against lawlessness, I would think it would make your jobs easier, not harder. I've been here for almost 25 years, and over that time I realized that sadly most people here in Monroe were and still are not active in their community, for whatever reason. Many households are working 2 jobs to help pay for the high taxes and are probably too exhausted to come to a weeknight meeting, and I get it. Even though we don't have a large group with us tonight, it doesn't mean that our neighborhood is apathetic. Quite the opposite. As I spoke with many many who are shocked and angered that non-public school buses are let to circumvent the laws. Parents have serious concerns for their children's safety, and rightly so. Tell me, how is a situation like this let to happen and continually happen? Who and from this board is willing to help us, we the people, pull in the reins on this situation? When society accepts lawlessness, chaos is certainly to follow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. I don't know how much more I could add, but I'll try to get a little more granular. And I'm going to give some updates to some of the direction that you gave us last week. Good evening. Arnold Tuma, 86 Winchester Drive. Happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you.
I think we could all start off with something that we could all agree on. We're a nation of laws, bound to the Constitution of the United States of America. That's why I could stand here before you today. But this board's silence over the past 6 weeks and failure to respond to any of our questions or concerns is totally unacceptable. Quite frankly, maybe dereliction of duty, to be honest with you. Not zero question response on anything. Terrible, totally unacceptable. And as a citizen who voted How could you ignore me? You're elected officials. And I didn't even write this down. This is just unacceptable. You're elected officials. How could you not respond to citizens who have concerns? I just don't get it. What you're thinking? Nothing, not zero. Let's go on. At the last meeting, you instructed me to contact other departments within the Village of Monroe for answer our questions and concerns. Basically, you passed the buck. As I've stated during what, I've started doing what you said. I met with the Monroe Police Chief, Darwin Guzman, last Tuesday. While our conversation was productive regarding the challenges we're facing at Whitman Estates, I quickly realized that many of the challenges we are facing are not unique to Whitman Estates, and clearly, some of our current village traffic laws are ambiguous and need clarity. And in some cases, we need to create new traffic regulations. This was clear, and they agreed with me. With that said, Chief Guzman confirmed that the Monroe Police Department only enforce current laws, and they don't and can't write new ones. So we're right back to where we started. Like I mentioned last time in front of you, right back to where we started. I know the village attorney has instructed you not to answer any of our questions, but this evasive strategy will not help anything and will only lead to unnecessary ongoing confrontation going forward. So I ask you, how can we find a way forward to at least communicate better, to make our community safer and a better place to live? The ball's in your court. So I'm just going to stop there for a second and see if you have any response to that. How can we start communicating?
Well,
Or are we just going to continue to ignore each other and
We're
hope
not.
that we go away?
we're not ignoring you.
Then how come we haven't gotten any responses?
You've said in the last 6 weeks that we have done nothing.
I did not say that. You have not answered any of my questions or responded to anything.
All right. There was a traffic study completed by Officer Hanson. I guess, did you go through those numbers with the police chief and the sergeant when you met with them?
Yes, we went through them. That's
You
why I
went
was
through
saying it
you
was a
went through that
productive
traffic study, the total vehicles that went through there was 3,191. That was from November 10th through November the 14th. Did you speak about that?
meeting. You did not mention that.
The average per day cars was 638. Percentage over 25 miles per hour was 1.8%. I'm going by
I'll let you speak. Go ahead.
what's
Fair
been
enough.
given to me. Percentage over 30 miles per hour was 0.0%. The officers also conducted direct traffic details on Winchester Drive and Whitman Place, time period 11/8/2022 through 12/18/2022. Traffic details 73. Uniform traffic tickets 38 total, 32 for the stop sign. 5 of the 32 were school buses, 6 miscellaneous V&T law tickets. School bus details 7, parking tickets 4. Those were the numbers that were given to us.
Now, we did talk about some of that. The chief
but-
did agree with me and the sergeant that for the speeding violations, when your cars are only parked at stop signs, you're not going to catch speeders. They agreed. Bad place. The strategy for speeding needs to be looked in. I suggested using some of the driveways for personal homes. He said, we don't like to do that. We have to ask permission. I gave him permission to use my driveway. Since I am witnessing these speeding violations on a constant basis, he would catch at least 5 to 10 people a day.
But we are.
I said it was a
we are
productive
out
meeting.
there.
He is trying his best.
We have directed the police department. Not only that, there's other areas in the village as well.
He's mentioned that too, that he's got a large area to cover and there's a resource. I am not holding him or saying he's not doing a good job. I think he's doing the best job he can. All I'm saying is he can't write laws. I'm here to talk with you. We talked about every single one of these laws. I brought everyone to him. We talked about parking in driveways, in front of mailboxes. We talked about all the laws that we don't have and the ones we do have. And his interpretation of parking in a driveway is different than his officer, which is different than mine, which was different than Mayor Dwyer's. So how could a law be written and have 4 interpretations? That tells me that law needs to be looked at again. And when I turned to the sergeant in the room, Young, I believe his name was, I said, why can't we just have a clear law that says you can't park more than 2 feet from the start of the cutout of a driveway? Wouldn't that be clear, rather than as long as a person can get out of their driveway, it's okay to park in their driveway? What kind of law is that? I don't understand. Now, maybe it was written a long time ago and when we had carriages, but right now, I couldn't get out of my driveway with the cars blocking my driveway. It was impossible. And I gave him a drawing to spec with cars parked across the street, which they're allowed, park across the street, and 2 people parked up to in my driveway. And I tested it for him. It took me 7 turns of my car to get out of my driveway. Is that acceptable? He said, absolutely not. We need to look at the laws. But he can't write them. I need your help to do that. I really do. That's, I keep coming here and say, we're not the enemy, guys. We're looking for help. We're looking to help you write laws for citizens to have a clear understanding of what they can and cannot do. This is as simple as it is, but I'll go on. I think part of this the part that's getting misunderstood is we are trying to do is find out what the laws are in place and how to interpret them. But you keep bringing back to a racial component. For example, we all were asking at the last 2 meetings, is it legal to convert a single-family house that is zoned for a single-family dwelling development in a non-resident church to a non-resident church, mosque, or school? And the response at the last meeting was, and I'm paraphrasing, if you think we're going to stop people from inviting other people to practice religion in their homes or where they live, that's not going to happen. Again, you're hearing us, but you're not listening. First of all, nobody lives at 83 Winchester Drive. So please stop saying where they live. Secondly, we have never said or given any indication that anyone doesn't have the right to pray in their home or anywhere for that matter. So let's stop making this about religion. Again, for the umpteenth time, this is about the law and establishing a clear set of zoning regulations for everyone to follow. That I can live with. If you do decide a single-family residence can be converted to a place of worship, then are we going to change the zoning laws to accommodate this decision? It is my understanding that the town of Monroe has taken some steps towards this arrangement by adding zoning regulations like proper occupancy. Installation of fire sprinklers are needed to accommodate the set capacity. Handicap parking and handicap access to the building. Proper parking capacity at the premise, not on the street, is needed, where parking on both sides of the street is legal. This law needs to be revisited. When a two-way street is only 29 feet wide, 2 oncoming vehicles cannot pass each other at the same time. This is a fact, which often leads to 2 cars playing chicken when adding the increased number of cars, people now walking in the street. My opinion and observation, we're all heading towards a serious accident or worse on the street. And I'll give you an example that just happened tonight. So tonight, 15 to 20 cars in front of 83 Winchester Drive parked on both sides of the street. On top of that, a large 45-foot Curious Joel school bus, commercial vehicle, illegally parked on the street. I called the police department. It took 20 minutes to respond. The bus left 2 minutes before the officer arrived. Now, I got the school bus number, and I also have a video of the bus with the name of the bus company, which is Curious Joel School District, was on it. And I'll talk to the chief tomorrow about calling and at least warning them that it's illegal to park commercial vehicles on Winchester Drive.
They can park in a driveway. But
Yes, they can.
They can't
Exactly.
park
We have people renting, commercial businesses renting a house. They put all their trucks, pickup trucks, whatever, in the driveway. Never had a call on them. And they follow the rules. And this is what it all comes down to, right? What's the rule? What's the law? We'll follow it. We're a good citizen. I've been on the planet for 64 years. I got nothing. My name's clean. I follow the law. That was disheartening because, matter of fact, because I went out, walked across the street. Now when you got the big school bus in the street, there's not, and you got cars parked across, you barely could get one car in there. Some lady came flying down the street, almost ran me over, complained, "What are you doing in the street?" "I'm walking." Slow down. You would have seen me if you were doing 25, like the speed limit is. And she went on, but this is what we're living with. I can't continue to live like this if you're not going to work with us and communicate and make some laws. Help us out. That's what we're asking. Let's get to the second page. I've been asking now for a while about lumens lights. Been asking about this. This is simple. Why can't we have a law? Why does somebody have to shine a stadium light into my bedroom window all night? If you have one for sound, why can't we have one for lighting? I don't see why this is so difficult. I think it's an easy ask. It's an easy win for you. We did something. Say it. Do it. Simple.
I think there's something in the code.
I would love to find it. I can't.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
we-
I'm
we-
with you 1,000%.
There was an issue in the development I lived in, and I know the building inspector did find something in the code, spoke to the neighbor, and they tipped the light the other way, so it wasn't shining across on somebody's house.
That's all
so-
we're asking. I mean, we had one across the street for some reason went out. I don't know, if they just shut it off for whatever reason.
Have you spoken to them at all to see if they would?
They don't live
agree-
there. There's nobody there at the house. They've been
When
doing
somebody-
construction on it for 2 years, so nobody lives there. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't even knock on the door and say, it's a little annoying that the thing, but it's tough. I mean, it's blinding. I could see it causing glare to a person driving by on a car. It's very,
I had it on my bedroom, I know.
Okay,
believe me.
enough
And-
said.
And the gentleman, he, boom, he put it down, and now everything's fine. But
well, good. Okay, again, I'm going to talk about the illegal wires running across village streets. Again, it's my understanding that the town of Monroe has implemented regulations on this. Wires may only run from established utility poles to another established utility pole with the approval of the utility company, not house to house. So again, we got to look at that. If that's legal, if somebody could attach a stick and screw it into the sides of their house and run a wire across the street, I think that's as dangerous as hell. I really do, without knowing that a trained professional even installed that. Because they're only 15 feet off the ground. Any truck, delivery truck, or anybody can go in and take that wire down. I just don't know why we can't even look into it. If you tell me it's legal, I got to live with that. But right now, nobody's saying anything about this.
Well, the federal law on height is 14, I think it's 14.6.
I'm not even talking, I'm
Most
just,
of your trucks aren't 14 feet high.
but
the
is it
highest
legal
you'll
to
see
put
is
that
50.
wire across the road?
That I can't answer that.
Let's look into it. Let's say yes or no, and we move on, right? This is all we're asking. Take a stance. Because I know, so what happens if stuff starts hanging on that wire now? The old days in the school, maybe some of you came from the Bronx where the sneakers are over the wire and they're hanging and it'll start to look crummy.
I've been in Monroe my whole life. So.
Okay. But who wants that in their neighborhood? For kids that are going to now say, hey, look at that wire, let's throw something over it. It's not right. That's not why we moved here. We moved here for a better life for our children. That's why I moved here from Brooklyn, for a better life for my children. And now I feel like I'm back to Brooklyn 30 years ago. And that's not what I want to happen. I'm trying to work with the board. What is the position or operating a short-term weekend rental for a single-family house? Now, from what I'm reading in the village code, it's not allowed. You cannot rent for a weekend. You have to have a minimum, I thought it said something like 30-day rental or something like that, right?
Yeah, 30
So
days.
if people are allowing people, to me, that's a cleverly hidden Airbnb, which is against the rules here in Monroe, right? So whether somebody's putting something up in a private magazine or something and cleverly doing that, that's unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. Let's talk again about the paved driveway across the village easement. Well, the board seemed surprised when I brought it up, other than the mayor seemed to be surprised about this. Well, it's been going on for 14 months. It's been 14 months, and since this has been reported. By your direction last week, I did call the building department, and they took the fifth as well and didn't want to talk to me.
Is that, Mr. Toomas, is that behind your house?
It's next side of me, not behind me.
So that's 80, what?
I'm 86, this is 83. No, I'm sorry, this will be 85, sorry. 85? 83. 83, yeah, sorry, 83. No, 85, I'm sorry, it's 85, yeah. Now, all I can get out of the building department was that direction was call the village engineer, John O'Rourke. I asked for John O'Rourke's phone number. The person rudely told me, no, can't have it. Well, why would you tell me to call somebody? You won't even give me their phone number. I mean, does that sound normal to you? He's a village employee.
Who
Is
told-
John O'Rourke a village engineer, right?
That's correct.
So why, if I asked for his number, the person wouldn't give it to me?
Who told you?
I don't know, but again, I'm not here to get anybody in trouble. I'm just saying,
Oh, I'm just curious.
guys,
'cause
we all
that's-
gotta think about what we're telling residents. I mean, what is the gall, the rudeness?
Well, that's why I want to try to find out. Who said that to you? They couldn't give you the number.
I'll go get the number for you, and I could give it to you on where I called, but it was a woman, I could tell you that much. And I didn't, again, I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble. I'm just saying, but, let's see, but the person spoke to me in the building, will provide the phone number, okay. I had to find another way. I did finally connect with John O'Rourke, and he said he hasn't been involved for a long time. Oh, well, surprisingly, maybe a year, he said. I said, a year? The last information he had was that the building department is allowing the owner at 88 Winchester Drive to get an engineer to claim that the illegal bridge and walkway doesn't present any problems to the easement. Talk about letting the inmates run the asylum. I said, but wait a second. Why aren't you making that decision? You're the engineer. Why would you so if I do something on my property, I could go find someone to say, yeah, I think it's okay, go away? I mean, well, it doesn't make sense to me. And I think I've been in private industry a long time. It just seemed a little strange to me that was the answer. Allowing a homeowner to get an engineer. Don't you think that this opens the possibility for a favorable report on the behavior of the homeowner, on behalf of the homeowner? I would think so. I would be, that's why it's taken 14 months. You can't find someone to do it. Come on the surface here, this is looking terrible. You got an illegal easement that's backing water up onto my property, and nobody seems concerned about this. Meanwhile, we've had a number of people like Mayor Dwyer indicated, there was another number of people out there a number of times to look at this property. They cited them, and the answer is, hey, go find an engineer and tell me it's okay, and then we'll let you keep it. Then I might as well just stick a pipe and put the dirt in my backyard and get another 20 feet of land to use. But if you start doing that, you'll have people all over the village doing whatever they want to their properties. It doesn't make sense to me. Boy, if this all seems like, oh my God, this guy's got it. It is. It's insane, this stuff that I'm talking about. And I look to you as elected officials to help, and we've gotten 0 in 6 weeks. 0.
I don't think you've gotten 0.
Tell me what communication, ma'am, I've received. I welcome the error I am making right here, and I fully admit that I am making a mistake. If you could tell me one email, phone call that I've received in the last 6 weeks. I've given this lovely young lady twice my notes to put, documented with all my questions. I received not one phone call in response. Please correct me. I am the first one that will admit error. But I have a pretty good memory, and I don't think anybody's called me in the last 6 months. Has anybody in this board called me? Has anybody emailed me?
I haven't.
I know Mayor Dwyer hasn't, and I know, was it Ferrara? I'm sorry, the other board member has not, on the record. I know our attorney hasn't contacted me. Nobody's contacted me. I've taken your direction by calling other departments. They send me back here. I'm in a constant loop, back asking for help, for answers. Let's get one of these things off the list. Let's get 2 of them off. And then you know what? We solve one problem, we solve another. We're on our way to solving all the problems. But by ignoring all of them, I don't think you know me well enough. I'll be back again. I don't give up easily. So, I'm not here to make your life difficult. I'm here to try and make my life back to the way it was under the letter of the law. Let's just move on to another subject, snow removal. Up until this week, the village has been very responsive to violations of Monroe Code Chapter 170, and I thank you for that. Keeping these sidewalks clear for our children to walk on in early morning hours when they return home from school in the evening is essential to the safety, not to mention the handicap. But all of that changed this week. You no longer want to help identifying when snow has not been removed, as per Monroe Code 170. I guess it's okay now for students to walk in the dark on the snowy and icy sidewalks or in the street in the dark. Monday morning, yesterday, I called the village of Monroe, and I did this because I went out walking Sunday evening, and I often go for a walk around my development for exercise, and I noticed 6 properties with ice on the sidewalks. And I have never called once about snowy sidewalks, not once in 29 years. But I had to walk 6 times off the sidewalk into a street. Unacceptable. I pay taxes to walk on the sidewalks. That's why I moved into that development. And I couldn't go for my normal walk. With that said, I called the Monroe Village Hall to report several houses had not cleared their sidewalks yet from the snowfall 3 days earlier. I was told I need a complaint form now. A complaint form. You want me to fill out a complaint form, I guess so I could be targeted later, but well, that's another story. I was told I need to fill out the complaint form for the village to address the issue, which means you're not going to do anything unless there's a complaint form anymore. We're done with people shoveling snow. I don't have to, unless somebody puts a complaint
Okay,
form
well,
on it.
this was like the first, I want to say this was the first snow that we got, and I understand your frustration.
First snow?
The-
We've never gotten
For-
snow
No,
here?
excuse me. For the season, I understand. I live in a neighborhood too with sidewalks, and I understand. What I'm saying is, last year, yes, a lot of people were cited, and there's probably some new residents, as there are new residents in my neighborhood also, and it was the first storm. So I understand, and I don't even know that I would call it a storm. It was the first snow. We have it noted. The village hall has it noted. And I will say that, yes, I do believe that the village will be working to make sure the snow is removed. And also, when we're talking about calling the police, I understand things happen, but there's also a lot of emergencies. I don't know if you understand, when we call the ambulance a lot, our police respond and get there faster than our ambulance respond.
I'm not talking
Okay,
about the response.
that's what
I
I'm
just
saying when you-
mentioned
I'm
what
just
that
saying when you
response
made
time
the
was.
comment of the 20 minutes, I think sometimes when you call the police and you say there's a car parked, I don't, there might be somewhere else that they are in this very big village. So I'm just saying you're not getting answers, and we're trying to give you, and we didn't limit public comment. I think we're noting it, and we're putting it on the record, and I understand, and I know it wasn't the first snowstorm ever, but we had a little bit of snow the other day, and it's noted, and I do believe, again, there's many areas in the village where this needs to be enforced, and I think for years it wasn't, because I know my children walk to the bus, and it's really, since this board came on in the past couple of years, that it has been enforced.
Ma'am?
I've been here since 1974, and I don't ever remember the sidewalks being shoveled like they should have been. So it's been happening in the past, I want to say 2 years.
Well, with all due respect, matter of fact, Michelle Hieronymi had called on the storm before for the house across the street. Your DPW came out and shoveled their sidewalk for them nicely. I asked them, can they come do mine next time? So it wasn't the first one. It's the second one. You already shoveled the property for that house. We're calling back for a second time,
Well,
okay?
you do understand that gets levied against their
Not
property
my,
taxes.
I don't, all I'm saying is I want the sidewalks
But we can
cleaned.
shovel, if you want yours shoveled, we
Right,
can do
but-
the same thing.
Well, I didn't know what they were doing. They just showed up to shovel his property.
Right, and they'll get charged.
So this was the second storm, okay, just to be on the record with that, okay? And a lot of the houses here weren't new to development. They've been here before. Some of these houses, nobody even lives in. There's a rental sign in front of one of them, so they're just leaving it. It's a mess. They're just gonna leave the property, right? So, again, and I don't want you to make excuses for why something's not getting done. Look into it. You'll see that.
It's going to be looked into.
Yeah, thank you,
Some
thank
of
you.
your questions or some of the comments you had, I'm going to be speaking with department heads tomorrow.
Thank
and-
you. That's all I'm asking. You know, if we had some of this communication the first or second meeting, we wouldn't be having this long conversation here. I don't want to come here.
And I'll be up sometime tomorrow. I want to take a look at that 85 Winchester myself.
Apparently, there's a citation, or something with something out sent out.
I'll have all that information when I come up that way.
Gotcha.
88.
88?
88.
Now we're 88?
Yeah,
We're
it's
not
88.
85?
It's 88. I'm sorry.
John, you have an email that you just got.
Okay.
You can get to your email.
You know, this complaint form for this, I'm not filling out a complaint form. You must have the resources to go around and check out all the sidewalks, because if you don't want help from the citizens, 3 days after a snowstorm, when there's ice all over the sidewalk, fine. I'm not gonna take the time to fill out a complaint form. If that's the procedure, I think it's poor.
Mr. Toomas, we've been aggressive the last 2 years with this.
Have been. I complimented you on that. I did. I
And it's
did.
going to continue.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate that. I'll accept that answer. In closing, it's just hard to believe that I'm going to skip this statement because I think we've ended this on a very positive note. Thank you. I'll see you on January 3rd.
You're around tomorrow. I'll be up that way.
I am home all day. I work from home.
What number, house are you?
I'm 86.
86.
Want
Okay.
my cell phone number? Call me and
That's all right, I'll be up.
That's about 88 Winchester.
Guess a notice of violation was issued.
Yep.
Okay.
So maybe we should share that?
All right, no.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
It's up to you.
But, we are looking, there was a notice of a violation issued to 88 Winchester. So there has been violations issued to 88 Winchester. That's what we're looking at right now.
I guess my concern was I had to fill out a form now to help you. I think that was just.
Is there anyone else that wanted to speak for public comment?
We'll be in touch, Mr. Toomas.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to close the meeting. Can I get a motion?
We got executive?
Oh, yeah, that,
Don't have anything for executive.
okay, so are we not going into executive?
I don't have anything
he
unless the board does.
Well, he had something he wanted for executive, but personnel.
Yeah, he wanted something, but it was emailed to us, so I don't.
Yeah, let's do a 5-minute recess
Okay.
and enter
We'll do
into
a 5-minute recess, and then we're going to enter into executive session
personnel.
for personnel matters.
Yep.
Can I get a motion? Yes? Did we get a motion? I don't read that.
We don't need the motion.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you all for coming tonight.